Ever had that moment when an employee corners you with the question, something big like, hey, I need to take medical leave, what do I do? Or, listen, I think I'm being harassed. And you're standing there thinking, oh crap, what do I even say right now? You're not alone. Most managers are winging it in these moments, and let's be real, winging it isn't going to cut it. One wrong move, and boom, morale tanks, people quit, and lawsuits land. Not to mention, it's really uncool to put a manager in this position. You shouldn't feel too bad about it, because really, it's not even your fault. No one taught you this, yet you're the first person your employees come to before HR, before anyone else. So in this video, we're cutting through the nonsense like Addison Rae schooling us on the life benefits of Diet Pepsi. I'm going to show you exactly what every manager should know about workplace rights, what to say, what not to say, and how to keep yourself and your team out of the muck. Stick around, because once you know this, you'll never freeze up in those tough moments again. And you can, at last, decide if you're Team Diet Coke or Team Diet Pepsi. Here's something you probably didn't hear when you first got promoted into management. You're not just the person handing out tasks or approving time off. You are, statistically, the single biggest factor in whether your team shows up engaged or completely checked out. Don't take my word for it. Gallup ran the numbers, and they found that managers alone account for 70% of the variance in employee engagement. 70%. That's not just a margin, that's practically the entire game. Now, let's layer in another stat that'll make your jaw drop. Only 30% of US employees are engaged at work. That means 7 out of 10 people are basically doing the bare minimum or actively looking for the exit. And if you're their manager, how you handle even one tough situation like a leave request or harassment complaint can either push them closer to the door or pull them back into the team. Think about it this way. If an employee comes to you and says, hey, I need time off to take care of my sick parent, the way you respond isn't just about checking a box on a form. If you brush them off or make them feel like they're an inconvenience, they'll remember it forever. But if you respond with empathy and clarity, thanks for telling me, let's make sure you get the right support from HR so your benefits stay protected, suddenly you've built trust. You've shown that you're not just a boss, you're a leader who's got their back. Trust isn't just a warm and fuzzy thing, it's retention, it's morale, and it's productivity. A manager who handles things the right way keeps good people from walking out the door. A manager who fumbles it, well, you might as well be recruiting the replacement next quarter. The point is, when it comes to workplace rights, you're not on the sidelines, you're at the center of the action, whether you like it or not. And that's exactly why getting this stuff right matters a lot more than you think. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest blind spots for managers, leave laws. Specifically, the Family Medical Leave Act, better known as FMLA. Now, if just hearing that acronym makes your eyes glaze over a bit, stick with me, because here's the thing. Misunderstanding FMLA isn't just confusing, it can land your company in serious trouble. First, the basics. FMLA gives eligible employees up to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave in a 12-month period. That could be for things like a serious health condition, caring for a sick family member, or welcoming a new child. Sounds straightforward, right? Except here's where most managers get it wrong. Misconception number one, everyone automatically qualifies for FMLA. Nope, employees have to work for the company at least for 12 months, log at least 1,250 hours in that year, and the company has to have 50 or more employees within a 75-mile radius. If one of those boxes isn't checked, it's not FMLA. Misconception number two, if an employee asks for leave, I need to know every personal detail. Wrong again. As a manager, you're not entitled to dig into their medical files or grill them about specifics. What you do need to do is recognize a potential FMLA situation, take it seriously, and route them to HR. That's it. Misconception number three, we can just put their benefits on hold while they're gone. Big mistake. Under FMLA, the company is required to maintain the employee's health benefits as if they were still working. Cut those off and you've just bought yourself a legal problem. And here's why this matters. The Department of Labor actually investigated FMLA complaints back in 2018 and found violations in over half of the cases they looked at. That's no small amount. That means a lot of managers and employees are still blowing it on the basics. So let's put it into a real scenario. Imagine an employee emails you, "I need a few weeks off because of a serious health issue." If you reply, "Sorry, we're too busy right now, can't approve that," you've just opened the door to an FMLA violation. On the flip side, if you say, "Thanks for letting me know, I'll connect you with HR so we can make sure your benefits and leave are protected," you've done your job. You're not supposed to have all the answers. You just need to recognize the moment and handle it the right way. And remember, this isn't rare. Around 14.5% of eligible US employees use FMLA every single year. So if you manage people long enough, you will run into this. The question is whether you're prepared or whether you end up as one of those managers in the 53% violation statistic. And this is when I just like to take a moment to remind everybody, HR is not easy. Here's something a lot of managers secretly believe. Harassment, civility, that's HR's problem, not mine. And hey, I get it. No one wants to be in the middle of that mess. But let's be brutally honest. Managers are the first line of defense. End of story. The numbers make this crystal clear. Between 2021 and 2023, workplace harassment charges filed with the EEOC jumped by 47%. And most of those cases, employees didn't go to HR first. They went to their manager, which means if you're managing people, this is absolutely your job. Now let's add in civility, because it's the sneaky cousin of harassment. The Society for Human Resources Management's Civility Index found that 66% of employees who experienced incivility said their manager could have done more to prevent it. That's 2 out of 3 people basically saying, "Hey boss, you let this slide." And those small moments, they're not small at all. Each act of incivility, think eye rolls in meetings, snide remarks, jokes that aren't funny, costs on average 36 minutes of productivity. Add that up across the workplace and you're looking at about $2 billion in lost productivity every single day. Of course, that's across all companies in the US. Let me paint the picture. Imagine you've got 2 employees. One keeps making jokes about the other's accent in meetings. You hear it, maybe you even cringe, but you think, it's just joking around, they'll sort it out. Fast forward 3 months, the target files a formal harassment complaint, HR gets pulled in, and suddenly lawyers are circling. Could that whole snowball have been stopped if you spoke up at the start? You know it. You don't need to be a superhero or know every legal detail. Your role is to notice, to intervene early, and to escalate when necessary. Something as simple as saying, "Hey, that comment's not appropriate for this workplace. Let's keep it professional," can shut down a toxic pattern before it takes root. Or just say, "Hey, that's not cool." Usually does the trick. So if you've been telling yourself, "This is HR's lane, I hate to break it to you," it's not. Harassment and civility live right in your lane as a manager because how you respond in those tiny moments signals to your team that they're safe. All right, let's shift gears to something every manager has to deal with sooner or later, conflict and complaints. And I don't just mean the obvious blow-ups, I'm talking about the little tensions, the side-eye in meetings, the passive-aggressive emails, the quiet resentment that builds over time. In reality, 85% of employees experience workplace conflict. That's basically everyone, and it's really not surprising. But here's a twist, 76% of people are conflict avoidant. Or maybe that's not a twist. Meaning, even if something's eating them alive at work, most won't come right out and say it. Instead, it bubbles under the surface until it spills onto your desk, and now you're in the middle of it. So what's causing all this conflict? First, 57% of workplace conflict comes from differing perspectives. People just see things differently. Next, about 43% comes from personality clashes, that classic "I just don't like how they operate" vibe. That's it. No big conspiracy, just people being people. Now here's where managers often mess this up. They either avoid it themselves, hoping it goes away, or they dive in and try to play therapist. Both approaches backfire. You don't want to ignore conflict, but you also don't want to take on fixing everything yourself. So what's the move? Think of it as a 3-step manager playbook. Step 1, listen. If someone comes to you with a complaint, stop what you're doing and give them your attention. Don't judge, don't cut them off, don't minimize it. Sometimes just being heard takes the heat down a lot. Step 2, document. I cannot stress this enough. Just write it down. Who said what, when, where. Not because you're building a case, but because memories get fuzzy really fast. And that documentation could be the difference between solving a problem now or scrambling later when HR asks for details. Because trust me, they will. Step 3, refer. And this is key. Refer it to HR or the right channel. You're not supposed to play investigator, jury, and judge. Your job is to surface the issue, not bury it. So let's play this out in an example. Two team members keep butting heads in meetings to the point where other people are uncomfortable. You might be tempted to say, look, just get along, okay? But that doesn't solve anything. Instead, you listen. Tell me what's going on from your perspective. You jot down the main points, then you flag it to HR. We've got an ongoing issue between these two. Here's what I've observed. Here's what's been reported. That way, you've acknowledged the problem, captured the facts, and escalated it where it belongs. Unresolved conflict just kills productivity. It drains morale. It makes good employees check out. And as a manager, your role isn't to fix every relationship. It's to make sure conflict doesn't get swept under the rug. Handle it openly, handle it early, and you keep your team focused on the work instead of the drama. So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot. Why managers matter more than they realize. The big myths about leave laws, the truth about harassment and civility, and how to handle conflict without letting it blow up in your face. You don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to know every line of employment law, but you do need to recognize when something matters. Respond with clarity, then get to HR, partner with them, especially when it's out of your lane. That's the difference between being the manager who freezes in the headlights and the manager who builds trust and keeps their team on track. This stuff is learnable. Once you know what to look for, leave requests, early signs of harassment, brewing conflicts, you'll never feel caught off guard again. You'll be ready, and your team will notice the difference. If you like this video, do me a solid. Click subscribe, go the extra mile, drop a comment, leave a like. I'd love to hear what you think. Roast me, put me on the spot. Do whatever works for you. Just engage. Let me know you're out there. You matter. Thanks for your time, everyone. Have a good one.